Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and it's been a spirited exchange between JB and BJ as a unit and President Trump all week, culminating with President Trump posting on Truth Social that perhaps both JB and BJ should become residents of the state for failing to provide for the safety of federal law enforcement operating in Chicago. Federal law enforcement is just getting the same treatment as residents of Chicago, which is the failure to provide for their safety. But his point is well taken, although it provided the moment that J.B. Pritzker has been waiting for. It provided his, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up Sunset Boulevard moment. And this was that.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who's threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
I think I might know somebody who can help with the coming to get J.B. Pritzker. He will do about as well in prison as Fresh Fish did in Shawshank. Eric Trump joins us now. He's the executive president of the Trump Organization, don't you know? He's got a new book. It's entitled Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Eric Trump, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, it's great to be on, my friend.
Could you please send somebody to take J.B. Pritzker from us?
Listen, I'd love it. I love Chicago. I built our building there. I built Trump International Hotel there. I spent a lot of years in that city. I put my heart and soul into building something absolutely incredible. And to see the leadership over the last several years, I mean, it's nothing short of shocking how bad it's been. Yet the city's still been resilient and somehow managed to carry through. But against all odds, I don't understand it. I mean, we've seen this playbook before. I mean, first of all, in Chicago, we've seen it for 100 years, where bad leadership has literally just caused problem after problem, and crime has continued to go through the roof. I mean, you had 70 shootings last weekend, 70 bullets flew through the air in the middle of the city, hitting people, and these people don't want to do anything about it, and it's heartbreaking, and you wonder why. In Washington, D.C., my father had a mandate to go in and clean it up. They took 12 days. They arrested 1,700 people. And then these are the career criminals. I mean, they all know who they are. The cops know exactly who they are. And by the way, your force in Chicago is great if they just took the handcuffs off them and let them do their job. They're amazing men and women. I truly love so many of them. And guess what? D.C. went from being, having 8-10 murders on an average weekend to having 0. And I just don't see why we can't do that in Chicago and what the fight is about. I mean, regardless of Republican, Democrat, I mean, these are kids. I mean, every weekend you have a mom that loses a son. You have a father that loses a daughter. You have a brother or sister that loses a sibling. What the hell is wrong with these people? Why won't they allow the streets to get cleaned up, stop the violence, stop the crime? We all want it. We all love Chicago. We're all on the same team. And I just don't know why, their policies are not working. If I was Pritzker, I would be embracing my father with open arms saying, please, help us. You use the resources in the budget of the federal government to help us. But yet, I think because they've done such a terrible job, maybe it's a slap in the face to these guys that they couldn't get it right, whereas Donald Trump could. And so it breaks my heart to see this foolishness. It's so counterproductive.
I think your father understands a lot of things, but one thing in particular is that, people don't really care so much about the process. They want an outcome. And of course, everyone wants to live in safety and in peace. And so sort of his statement yesterday upon the announcement of a pending deal in the Middle East to bring peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. I mean, he is attempting to bring peace to the streets of cities that have endemic violence and to regions of the world that have had endemic violence. And I think that's going to ultimately be one of his most important legacies and something that people are are going to recognize, in the sense that, like, this is a guy trying to get us to a place we all want to be. And maybe I've got some disagreements. Maybe I don't like the National Guard. We could be a combination of local law enforcement and ICE or whatever it is. But in terms of he's sold them on the why. Like, I'm trying to bring peace, and then people are open minded about the sort of the what and the how if they believe in the why, and I think people believe in the why.
Sure. Listen, I agree with you. I mean, ideally, local law enforcement could take care of the problem. And by the way, local law enforcement could take care of the problem, absolutely. But, the problem is every single day, they're stripping immunity from law enforcement officers. They're charging them. Somebody has to make a split-second decision, and it's not perfect. And they persecute them, and they prosecute them, and they destroy their lives, and they tell them to stand down at every instance. And they give them no incentive to go out there. And so you better believe that the Chicago PD could do this. I mean, they're incredible men and women, right? No different than the NYPD could fix New York in about 3 seconds, if they took the handcuffs off. And, and beyond that, if you had local judges that would actually, imprison people, when they do horrible, vile things, as opposed to, the bail reform laws and letting them out 3 seconds later where they become repeat offenders. Dan, we had a situation in New York not too long ago where there was a small protest, right? The guy came out, he punched a cop in the face, right? This is like a Maine sergeant. They arrest him. They bring him 3 blocks away to One Police Plaza, which is, downtown kind of headquarters. They let him out 15 minutes later. He goes back to the bridge where the protest was, goes to the same cop and punches him in the face again. I mean, what do you expect from these people? And that's what, that's what these silly policies are getting. And again, we adore Chicago. We have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the city. I built that building. I love it. We employ hundreds and hundreds of people. It's one of the great cities anywhere in the world. And they're letting it get destroyed by crime and madness, and it has to stop.
Speaking of persecutions, how is the Trump organization after the travails under the previous administration and Letitia James's gambits to try to basically bankrupt the company? Where's the Trump organization today?
Well, I talk about it all in the book. I know you mentioned the intro, but, people are obviously speaking. We just went to #1 on Amazon, Under Siege, my family's fight to save our nation. And, they did everything they could to destroy us. They tried to bankrupt us. They tried to deplatform us. They tried to debank us. They impeached my father twice. They made up the dirty dossier. You know all the details in there that were disgusting, paid for by Hillary Clinton. They claimed that we had secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating with the Kremlin. It was all lies. They took us off of Instagram and Facebook. They released our tax returns. They literally, the IRS released my father's tax returns and all of our family's tax returns. They did everything they could to take us out, to kill us, to bankrupt us, and we've overturned every single one of those cases. We beat Letitia James. In fact, the appellate courts in New York just ruled 5-0, overturning her entire case. We beat the 91 felony indictments that they put against my father. They put us under siege. They wanted to take out our family. They wanted to take out my father. They wanted to take out, the entire Make America Great Again movement, and they failed dramatically. And hence the reason, Dan, my father won the popular vote, and we won every swing state and every state in the nation tacked to the right. We won places like Miami-Dade by 11 points that haven't been won by a Republican in 37 years. And so, we've never been better. Honestly, we've never been better. We've never been stronger. The mainstream media in this country is all but dead. Independent voices, your voice, and so many other independent voices are ruling the day. And the company is doing phenomenally well, and I'm incredibly proud of it.
And sort of where are you these days? I know you've got, obviously, the Trump organization. You've got other business interests. Maybe we'll get to that, too. You're very heavily in the cryptocurrency market. But where are you in terms of the role that you play within the administration and with the president? What are the things that you like to do and where you and your dad work together?
Yeah, my role is being his best friend and his son and, his biggest advocate, because I think the guy's doing a phenomenal job. But I run everything that's outside of Washington, D.C. I try and stay as far away from that city as humanly possible because
okay.
I generally dislike politicians, including the Pritzkers of the world, because it doesn't make sense to me. My business mind can't comprehend how if somebody's trying to offer to help, you reject it and you don't. But no, I run every hotel, every golf course, every commercial building, residential building around the world. And you just mentioned crypto. Wow, what's been happening in the crypto environment, here in the U.S. and around the world is really amazing. It's the future of finance. And, started a company called American Bitcoin, which I'm incredibly proud of. We just listed on the NASDAQ a few weeks ago and mining Bitcoin in the United States, right in West Texas. And, it's doing tremendously well. So we're doing great. We're doing great as a family, and we're doing great as a country.
Well, put your keep your business hat on for a minute too, because you made sort of a bold prediction for Bitcoin. You predicted it's going to go to $1 million a coin. And you just mentioned too, it's sort of crypto is America's financial future. Develop that a little bit more. What do you think happens?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, every day I'm a business guy. I try and sign a wire transfer out at 5:01 on a Friday afternoon, and it doesn't get there until late Monday afternoon. I mean, that's not modern day finance. Everybody listening to us probably has tried to apply for a loan for a home, or they go through a 120-day process of know your customer, pushing paper forms with a bank that they've done business with for 25 years. At the end of it, half the time they're rejected. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing that can't be done on blockchain better, quicker, faster, more transparently, and substantially cheaper. There's no reason that J.P. Morgan needs 90-story towers in every single city around the country full of tens of thousands of people. Everybody's paying for that. You're paying for that in loan origination fees. You're paying that, for that, and you're getting nickeled and dimed by your bank. Crypto is going to replace all of that, and there's no question about it. I mean, Bitcoin is digital gold, and all the others, Ethereum, is really the oil on which the entire system works. But there's no question that if we look back in 5 years, 10 years, the entire financial system of not just the United States, but of the world is going to operate very differently. It's going to operate quicker, faster, cheaper, and much more transparently. And I found it, Dan. I found it because we are the most debanked company, all because we decided to wear a hat that said "Make America Great Again." And so I believe in Bitcoin with every aspect of my heart and soul. And I believe in this financial revolution. It's coming. I see it. There's nothing I've ever been more passionate about.
What about the political system? I mean, of course, we had former FBI Director Jim Comey arraigned yesterday, pleading not guilty to perjury charges. Do you see, and what MAGA world wants? They want a reckoning for all those things you mentioned at the outset in terms of the targeting of your father and your family and his supporters and allies and so forth. Do you see a revolution coming before your father's time as president is done in terms of a reckoning and thus a resetting of what the guardrails are in politics, the ending of lawfare, or are we, going to see this continue to be propagated?
Lawfare is something that I am fundamentally 100% against. My father could have gone after Hillary Clinton in 2017. She deleted 33,000 emails under congressional subpoena. The Clinton Foundation, which was an absolute disaster, and he thought it'd be atrocious look to go after a former first lady, and just thought it would be absolutely wrong. And he got into office. It wasn't 12 minutes after his hand was on the Bible. On the 20th of January of 2017, that the Washington Post starts writing stories. This is when the impeachment of Donald Trump began. They didn't give him 3 seconds, Dan. They went after him so viciously, and that's what I talk about in Under Siege. That's why the book went to #1 instantly on Amazon. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy us. So I don't want legal lawfare. I want zero legal lawfare. But what I want is I want accountability to the criminals that were in there. I want to know who leaked every tax return of my father, my family, and everybody in our company. I want to know why these people stormed into Mar-a-Lago and raided Melania's closet and raided Barron's room. That's what I want to know. I want to know why there's no accountability. When somebody makes up that, the Trump organization has secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating with Russia. Give me a break. These were all lies. It was all slander. It was all criminal activity. Right? They pulled my father off the ballot in Maine. They pulled him off the ballot in Colorado. Gag order after gag order, 91 indictments in sham cases that have every single one of them has been overturned. They tried to rip the Trump name off of every single building around the world. They tried to. I mean, they wanted us bankrupt. They wanted us in prison. They wanted us with no voice. And then when all of that failed, they tried to kill my father in Butler, right? I was watching with my 2 young kids on my lap when I saw a bullet rip through his ear. And then they tried to kill him again at his golf course. And then you saw what they just did to Charlie Kirk, where a good friend of mine, I'm watching blood come, spewing out the front of his neck. I want accountability to these maniacs. I don't want lawfare. I want the exact opposite of lawfare. I just want accountability for the criminal actions that have occurred under Joe Biden, all directed by Joe Biden and Merrick Garland.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of reestablishing the rule of law from, the streets to the halls of power. Absolutely. Eric Trump is the executive president of the Trump Organization. His book, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Under Siege is the book. Eric Trump, the author. Eric, thanks so much for joining us, and continued success with the book and in business.
Great to be on, Dan. You guys take care.
Take care. And Eric joined us in the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my